UFC 275 has just completed in Singapore, and we have had some interesting results. Let's start from the top of the card.
Yeah, go for it.
Glover Teixeira was the incumbent champion, taking on number 2 ranked in the light heavyweight division, Jiri Prochazka. A 5-round war unfolded before our eyes, but we were podcasting, talking about rugby league. Sean, you seem to be keeping a good eye on this one.
Yeah, caught enough.
You reckon going into the 5th round, it might have been 2 rounds apiece, perhaps?
Yeah, it looked that way, and they were landing shots left, right, and centre. And Glover has great power as in this too, and I think was probably winning that 5th round. Had Jiri very much damaged and potentially on his way out, but yeah, managed to get into the wrestle, get the takedown, and then. So it was more, wasn't a full rear naked choke. It was kind of more like a sideways. He wasn't fully on the back.
Let him turtled up.
Yeah,
kind of thing,
turtled up, but he got the arms in there and got the choke. Got the submission with 30 seconds to go. Going to judge's decision, he probably loses.
Yeah, I'd agree. So in terms of that, can anyone remember a 5th round finish with 30 seconds to go from the fighter that was losing?
I think, not losing, because I think Mighty Mouse won a fight with like a second to go in the championship rounds. But I don't
Derek
think he was
Lewis do like a finish once in a? I don't know if it was a 5-round, might have been 3-round, but it might have been pretty tight. That might have been like,
possibly.
Time that he took his pants off because he was a bit too hot. But he finished someone late in a fight.
Championships wise, Anderson Silva. Did it against Channel Sona because he
Channel Sona.
Channel Surfer.
Yes, Channel Surfer. Sorry, because Anderson Silva was out wrestled for 4 and a bit rounds of that, and then got the triangle choke from the back in the 5th round to win it.
You know what would be great when Elon Musk comes up with this Neuralink thing, and me and you. No, what we need to do is I just do the names, and we've got your recall of fights because like that would be all right. That would be all right.
Yeah, well, concussions is this is the problem. This is what you become.
You're blaming concussion.
Oh, I've had fuckloads.
I've had luck votes. So Jiri Prochazka, let's talk about him. A kickboxer. He only started fighting.
Samurai background.
Yeah, I think
is that why he has that hairstyle? Because that was all I could look at during the fight. I couldn't concentrate on anything else.
You should have seen him.
I would have no idea who was winning or losing.
Let me put it this way: during fight week, it was much bigger. He'd cut it for the fight.
Really?
So he had it was a big fall, and then it went like down to his shoulders. Kind of. It was like big hair. So yeah, he trimmed it up.
Is there a rule about can you like pull it? Like, is there?
I don't know. I don't think
because I think in like
you're not allowed to do hand pulls
in like union and stuff.
Yeah,
it's just part of like the jersey or something. Like you can like
American football's
yeah.
But you look at all the chicks fights, so that's why they wear dreads, so it doesn't get in the way. So it's not in your eyes and things like that. Yeah. I think Masvidal's probably he's had one where it's come out like his dreads are come out, and it's more an issue for him because Benson, that happened to Benson in a lightweight fight. Because he had it in a band. The band came out and he had hair all like sweat and then it sticking to his face. It actually becomes more of a
is it just like a maybe it's not a rule, but it's a gentleman's or ladies' agreement that
I don't really think I've seen a full
touching of the hair and or face.
You can't grab the cage, so I guess hair pull's probably a bit out too. Can't bite.
Anyway, a digression.
It's a dog.
I digress.
It was good to see. I think he saw him with Jan afterwards, going a bit back and forth. So both being Eastern Europeans, whether that's the chat for the next
Poland versus Czech Republic.
Yep.
What about Yuri's record here? I'm just having a look. Obviously,
only 13 fight win streak. I think after that.
Yeah, only his 3rd fight in the UFC. Some pretty handy scalps in Glover, Dominic Reyes, and Volkan Ozdemir. But before that, was fighting in Rizin, which is kickboxing out of Japan, and was just on an absolute heater of a win streak. Hasn't lost a fight since 2015, and has had really a meteoric ascendancy here in the UFC. What was I trying to say before? I don't think he really fought. Yeah, that's right. He didn't. he didn't fight growing up. He played soccer and was a bit of a football hooligan.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Eastern Europeans, football hooligan. Imagine that. You go down and go watch, whatever teams are in fucking Prague, fucking North Prague versus South Prague. Oh God, I hate South Prague.
No, Czech Republic versus Serbia, and then afterwards.
Don't know if they're arch enemies either. But anyways, moving forward, he didn't really find the fight game until watching the movie Never Back Down of Amber Heard fame of defecating on the she defecated on the bed fame. That's by Johnny Depp. Interesting to see the ebbs and flows of how the world goes around. Amber Heard been through the ringer, if you will, and now the champion of the light heavyweight division in the UFC is Jiri Prochazka.
And probably more in this fight shown that he has holds. He's hittable. Glover definitely was doing some damage.
Yeah, but definitely the biggest working that he's had.
Yeah, he's been dominant elsewise. So yeah,
where to for Glover now? 42 years of age, doesn't really have anything to prove. I think the big
does he make another run? I don't know.
Well, the big question mark was always he wasn't a champion, and now he has been a champion. Does he have anything else to prove?
Probably not. You could do some fun fights in that division, but there's plenty of. That division, since Jones has left, has so many guys kind of in the same state now that they haven't really set a pecking order.
It's more interesting.
Yeah, so there's every fight is it'll be a big fight
exactly
in the top 10.
So he's not going to get immediate rematch or anything.
No.
So he's probably got to wait a year, 18 months or something like that.
Yeah,
which
maybe 12 months.
But when you're 42, that's a long time.
Definitely. He definitely, I'd say he'd need one more fight to reinsert himself as the number one contender to then get the title fight.
Right.
That's generally what happens in that space. But yeah, that problem is that fight and for that number one contender is still going to be a top 5
Against
guy. So exactly. And at 42, do you want to make another run at the belt?
True.
Yeah. Well, Peps, you just mentioned ebbs and flows before, and then Steamer, you just mentioned the Mauler. Alexander Gustafsson is coming back. He's fighting light heavyweight after a few years out of the ring.
Yeah. And we talked about that last week.
In August.
Because his last victory was against Teixeira. So
there you go.
Has he been fighting in any organisation?
Nope,
or
he's retired.
He's just had
He
time
retired,
off.
yeah.
He tried to be a Swedish model for a little while.
He's pretty good looking for a fight. I don't know about those cauliflower.
I think he was doing suits. Yeah, so him dressed up suits.
Just neck down.
It'd be interesting to see if the Mauler comes back. Had a 3-loss streak after that John Jones war. That was the second time. It was the first time he fought Jones where it went the distance way back in 2013.
Which he potentially won that fight. But yes, then lost to John Jones. Then I think he went up to heavyweight for... What did he do for that? Oh, Anthony Smith got him in that submission.
Yeah, and he fought Fabricio Verdum.
I think he came
That was his heavyweight debut. Then.
Yeah, I think he was a bit unders for Anthony Smith. I think he kind of I'd hit the wall in John Jones and where's my fight career going? Hence why he tried to go to heavyweight, retired. He's like, I've lost the passion essentially.
Sure.
And he's coming back, obviously found that groove hopefully again, and we'll see what he looks like.
And if you come back after a few years off, it's not that easy. Which is our segue into the women's...
No, it's not quite right.
So
one fight.
I went early, man.
We kind of already chatted about this. Do we need to say too much more?
Finish it off.
Yeah, so Valentina Shevchenko, by a bee's dick, has held on to her belt as women's flyweight champ, was obviously short price favourite. Everyone that I was listening to in the lead-up had Bullet winning this pretty comfortably. And Talia Santos absolutely worked her, especially in the first few rounds. Got the back a few times, was nearly able to finish the fight. It seemed just didn't quite have enough under the chin there of Valentina Shevchenko, and Shevchenko was able to win via split decision. And we don't know how the judges have scored this, but someone scored it 49-46, and no judge scored it the same.
Yeah, so there was the two 48-47s, one for each one, and then someone did Valentina with the 49-46, which potentially could be a 4-1, which if that was the case, that judge should probably be fired. That's a fucking travesty if you're watching that fight. Maybe there's some combination of the math that, yes.
3-2 with a 10-8.
Yeah, with a 10-8, yes. Gets there. But yeah, I think overall it's fair for her to win that fight. I think she came on. We talked about it. That back end of that fight, she definitely came on and proved herself to be the champion. Was absolutely laying the punishment in those 4th and 5th rounds. Potentially in the 5th, shouldn't have taken that fight to the ground. Kind of got caught up there and really couldn't push that advantage, whereas she was dominating the feet in that 4th. So maybe could have looked for more of a punishment and a finish in the 5th. But either way, big props to Santos for not getting murdered in the first round. And kind of maybe gives Valentina something to look forward to, a challenge in that division because she's lacked it.
First time she's been tested in a long time, right?
Yeah. Do we have to stop sleeping on these female challenges? We saw it with
not quite yet. She didn't win, but
yeah. Well, Juliana Pena won.
It's not as one-sided.
And Carla Esperanza won. True. And when Nunes lost to Pena, no one saw that coming. She was rank outsider. Maybe we've got to give a little bit more credit to these outside female fighters.
I hate to say it, but I kind of think that Nunes' loss was more on her than her competition.
Okay.
I think she came into that fight very unders and unmotivated. So we'll have to see what that looks like now that she doesn't have the belt and when she comes back.
In other news, Sean has also called out Juliana Pena to 1-on-1.
As long as it's a wrestling match.
I'm still going Pena.
No. Yeah, I'll probably lose, but hey.
It's a pronunciation match. God damn it.
Pena.
Damn it. Just being talk English.
I don't, English isn't a natural language. You probably still beat me.
Exactly.
That's a bit of
Speaking of difficult names to pronounce, the next one on the card.
Yeah. So Zhang Weili, I think we're close there, although there's some conjecture around the first name, against Joanna Jedrzejczyk.
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 Anyway.
It's the Drejczyk.
Jedrzejczyk.
This was a highlight finish. This was happening just as we arrived, wasn't it? The spinning back fist
slash from the end of the
and
forearm.
kind of probably more forearm, but
forearm wrist,
yes, spinning at least, and caught Joanna right on the ear.
Slash temple.
Yeah. So that was 1 and a bit rounds in, and so
in the second round.
That was a segue that I was trying to set up before.
this was the second.
I forgot about the co-main event.
This was these two ladies' second go at
place.
it, and the first one was an absolute war, and long time since Joanna last fought.
Yeah, that was the last fight.
And as we mentioned at the top of the podcast, leaving her gloves in the ring, leaving it all behind onto the next stage of her life. Zhang, top contender, is she? Or a previous champion, obviously.
Who's got that belt in that division at the moment? Because didn't Rose just lose it?
Carla Esperanza.
Yeah, so
She
probably second.
was on Kentucky with Trent Naden fame. Who's
Trent or Brent?
Who's not
Trent or Brent?
Of not Brent Naden fame.
Right.
Yes.
So what? Zhang's probably put her name
Yeah, she's second.
up in there for a title shot coming up soon.
Yep. Yeah, maybe they run it back with Thug first, but if not, she'd be second, I'd say, in that division.
Yeah, she's listed second at the moment. So
There you go.
But I'm not sure if that would have been updated for today's fights just yet.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it would bump
Probably
her
not,
above
but-
Rose, but it puts her in the conversation. If they don't want to run
certainly.
it back with Rose, like if they want to say, "Hey, Rose, you got to go take a fight somewhere," maybe that's the fight. It's Rose and Weili, but if not, then
That Esperanza Namajunas fight was also infamously boring.
yes. Yeah, so running that back is probably unlikely. So yeah, she's probably in that title contention.
Yeah, I think Esperanza Weili makes sense.
Yep. Agree on that.
And were you watching the fights before we arrived, Monks? Were you watching this next one? Or?
Yeah, how did our Aussie boys go?
A little bit, yeah. So I guess the breaking news from yesterday was Rodrigo Bontorin had to pull out of his fight with Manuel Cape. This is actually a fight that was set up last year or the year before, I think. Had to pull out from injury. I think Kate pulled out for injuries that time. But they had to scrap the fight because Bontorin wasn't able to cut enough weight. He was about 2 kilos off. Had to be hospitalised with some kidney issues.
His weight cut led to the kidney issues and
that's crazy.
The renal problem there probably led to the fact that he couldn't cut the weight. And that's not what we want.
Yeah, so I had to call off the weight cut, I guess, and he was hospitalised for that. So unfortunate for him. Hopefully he makes a full recovery and they can set this fight up again soon.
So both Aussies made it on the main card.
Yeah. So because of this, they promoted the Jake Matthews, Andre Fiallo, I think I've got that right.
Yeah,
fight up into the main card. So that was the card that happened just before Whaley and Jedrzejczyk. Jake looked great. So he's had some time out of the ring. Looks like I hadn't seen him in a while, but it looked like he'd been tatted up with all the Celtic
Spent the time
bands
out of the ring in the tattoo parlour, did he?
That's it, yeah. But besides the tats, looked good. Looked good with the tats as well. He did look like he was in a little bit of trouble getting out of the first round. Andre got a knockdown and sort of covered him and was on top for a little bit, but bell rung, so they were able to escape that. And then, just got straight back into it early in the second round, started picking Andre apart with his striking, and got the knockout halfway through the second round. So, he goes to 18-5 now, 6 wins by knockout.
Impressive.
So real good. Hopefully, he can get a few more fights and start climbing the ranks there as well.
So from Jack to Jack, how did the other Aussie welterweight go?
Caught the back end of this fight. He won.
Method?
Knockout.
Punches as well, I think.
Yeah. So this one ended in the first round, about halfway through again as well.
Quick finish.
I think it just came in swinging. Was able to get the knockout quick.
Nice.
Don't really have too much more to say about that one.
Are those two both ranked, or are they still outside?
Both unranked, I believe.
Yeah.
But you'd think maybe Matthews would be going close, if not both.
18-5 is a good record with 6 wins by knockout. Knocking on the door, you think? But some news confirmed coming up. Future fight.
Big fight.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So this one I think must have been some breaking news during the fight card. But Usman and Leon Edwards' fight has been confirmed for the 20th of August. I'm not sure what UFC fight that would make it.
7 or 8.
Edwards kind of been sniffing around for a title shot for a little while, hasn't he?
It's about time for him.
Actually, UFC 278.
And he's probably the only one Usman hasn't had a title defense against, so
correct.
Makes sense. But
they jump over the radioactive hazmat man. They skip over that one after his win over Burns because there's been a lot of chat that he'd get that fight. It's
he got
I think
work.
Edwards
He got
is
work.
fair. I think Edwards is fair
Yeah,
because
I
he's
think
been
so
in that position for a very long time. And I think our boy Whitaker was at that fight too.
Yep, he was. Yep.
And they've rebooked his Vittori fight to September.
Oh, nice.
Okay, cool.
So that'll probably because Izzy's got Cannonier coming up.
All right.
So that'll be. I'd assume that fight for Rob will be for the number 1 contender,
Gotcha.
and we'll get probably the winner of that Izzy fight.